Welcome to For the Culture. I got two very special guests today. I have Broken Future, Brandon Tate and Jake Maters. I'm your host, Deepak Batty, and I've never really interviewed EDM house artists before, but because I don't really listen to that kind of music in the first place, but it's super sick for me to jump into a field that I've never ever been a part of. So thanks for coming to the show, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. We're excited.
Hell yeah. I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, you guys had some Latin fiesta before this?
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
good. We went at a rush hour though.
Yeah.
It's like a half an hour to get food.
So we were late, bro.
Don't want to say any bad words about that place though. Delicious.
Yeah, they're like classic, classic Rutland Mexican food.
Yeah, it's one of those hidden gems, like one of those true hidden gems of Kelowna. Like, not even that it's hidden, everyone knows about it, but like until you know, you don't know.
Yeah.
But once you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I was listening to like each of your guys' solo work a little bit before the interview happened, right? And Brandon, you have like a little bit more of like a remix type of vibe to you, right? And then Jake, you have your own, from as far as I can tell, like your own like house music that you self-produce, right?
Yeah.
And listening to Broken Future, with like the ASAP Ferg remix and all those other remixes, you guys sort of really like fluidly combine the two. So I just wanted to ask you, like, how did this come together when you guys came from so different styles?
I mean, we're always homies. But I mean, really, it's just a combination of the two of us. Like, I obviously, like you said, come from the remix background. The more popular style, did some dubstep stuff, electro, just kind of that big popular EDM sound. Jake's always been really into the house stuff.
Yeah.
And like Broken Future is really just sort of an amalgamation of that, both of our influences, and it's this cool little middle point between it all.
Yeah, it's a really like balanced middle point too, which I noticed with your music. I'm just like, wow, I can really hear the influence of both of you guys.
Right, and that's the thing is like we listen to all kinds of different music as well, right? Like we're not hating on any other kind of shit. So So we take inspiration from everything, man, and try to incorporate it into our shit. It's just the house music is really like where we've just kind of followed. It's been a natural progression into that, man.
Yeah.
Like when we sit down and make a track, we're just doing what we want to do.
Yeah.
And like wherever the track goes, it usually ends up being a house track. So we've taken this project and we're just going to run with it.
And like what I found with this is like now with this project, I'm making music for me on my level. I found that with all the remixes and all the poppy stuff, like just coming from a DJ background, it's nice to get back into music that I want to hear.
Yeah.
I'm really focused on stuff that I want to do. For so long, I was always making stuff that, I thought everyone else wanted to hear. And like, this is really bring me back to what I want to do. And that's exciting.
Right. So is it that like Jake, you self-produce and then you remix it a little bit more, or like how does the process work? Because
we're both producers, like the same. We just do the same thing. Like we're both.
And most of the time, we'll sit and make a lot of stuff from scratch together. Like we'll sit there there, open up a blank slate and start.
Yeah.
Other times we'll bring in a little sample idea, a little clip, something we've started, and then almost every project though we sit down together and hash it out right there. So
both of us are putting in work on our own on like in each of the tracks. So.
Yeah.
Right. Do you guys always collaborate together to work, or is it just sort of like you have your piece, Brand, and then you come in, Jake, later, and then you guys bring it together, or is it all at the same time?
We're usually always sitting there together, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, unless we're busy doing something, sends me a clip or something, but...
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of work on our own, like, just outside of that.
Yeah.
Like, but everything's done, like, together. Like, we'll have time when we're not together all the time. We'll have some time alone, and we'll just be working on our own, and, come up with a cool little loop or something, and then we'll take that, I'll bounce it off him, see what he likes about it, he'll have something.
Anything that we finish, really, like, any finishing touches we're putting on stuff, we're usually doing it together right there, so...
We'll the majority of it.
But usually, we're sitting there making it happen together. Like, it's not like I do one bit, he does another. We share the kind of workload pretty evenly, so...
Right, and what's that feel like compared to doing it on your own?
It's good, man. We were just talking about that earlier. He'll hold you accountable, right? Because you can slack off or fuck around, say you're tired, whatever, and the other guy hits you up and says, "No, let's go. We got to work." Right? It keeps your motivation up, and also it's another set of ears on your music, right?
True.
And
another point of view. So
and like they'll have times like the hardest thing sometimes is like hitting a wall creatively. You're in a creative mode, and it's like sometimes a little convenient because I'll hit a mental block on something that I'm making. And then Jake will take over because he gets an idea, and that keeps the process moving. So at the end of the day, it's it's tough to get two people having writer's block at the same time on a track and hitting that sort of creative wall. Yeah. So it just always keeps things moving, which is what helps us be productive.
Yeah, super helpful. Because when I make music on my own, I sometimes feel like I wish I had another person to bounce my ideas off of.
Right.
But you guys do have that luxury though, which is sick.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to get sort of more into your history and your background and everything, right? So let's start with you, Brandon. How did you start getting into DJing in the first place, and how old were you?
I mean, I've always kind of been a DJ. Okay. I just didn't know it yet.
Okay.
Growing up in school and stuff, I had a teacher who would let us bring CDs into class and mix tapes, recorded off the radio.
Dope.
And just I kind of took that and ran, would just listen to the radio. I would go home from school and just spend that entire night listening to the radio and just recording songs literally with the tape recorder and bring them into school the next day. And I had no clue. I just wanted to play music I liked during class.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that I was going to be DJing, but at the end of the day, it's being out there and being the hunter for people for music, putting that work in, finding music. As far as the real side of DJing, I think there was one time I was bored with a buddy and we went on Google and typed in how to make beats. Okay. And just, found a demo version of FL Studio and just started messing around from there.
Yeah.
DJing, I had some homies. I kind of got pushed into DJing just by necessity, just from, I was producing music first, making beats and stuff. I was about 15, 16. And people just assumed that went hand in hand with DJing. So people would I was making these little songs and passing around. Some people want me to come DJ parties. And I just forced myself to learn how to do it. Started off just using a laptop with a DJ simulator, and then had some homies get some equipment and just kind of learn from there. From there, started cut my teeth once I was 19 in the club scene, promoting shows, stuff like that. Worked my way up through a couple promotion teams, playing opening gigs for DJs and stuff like that. Ended up getting a pretty wicked opportunity with Sapphire when they started their Project Saturdays. Yeah. I started being the resident DJ there, which is a bit of an adjustment coming from someone who's so into dance music and not into the top 40 mainstream sort of deal. But it's cool. Great learning experience. It's learning how to DJ sort of top 40 music and stuff that's not naturally meant to be DJ'd with. With most pop music, it's not made like EDM, which is meant to be mixed.
Yeah.
With pop music, it kind of gave me just a lot of practice, just becoming a better DJ and just working decks. And it's mixing sort of the house music and the stuff we play as Broken Future is way, way, way different than the pop stuff I'd ever played at a club.
Yeah.
But the skills are just so transferable, and just being able to have an opportunity to go out every week and just practice.
Yeah.
Literally just be able to practice every week is just paid off dividends. So
totally.
Yeah. I just went from there, and then Jake and I linked up, did Broken Future, and here we are.
Damn, that's wild. And Jake, you play, so Brandon, you play mostly the main area, and Jake, you play the back.
Yeah. So at the club that we have our residency, I play in the side room in the back there. And we stick to the house music theme back there, which is nice for me because I get to practice our all the new shit we're playing. And
so you guys get to play Broken
so
Future stuff?
I mean, I can get away with playing that stuff back there, right? So it's good for me to keep that stuff sharp. But when I started doing music and stuff, I was probably about 17, and I was pretty heavily into baseball and stuff. Heavily into sports, but I always loved music my whole life, right? I've always been interested in it. I've always felt a little more inclined into digging more into music than most of my friends when I was growing up, figuring out why a song made me feel a certain way or certain structures and this and that. So I always felt kind of musically inclined, but I got injured and stuff playing baseball, and I kind of was lost a bit in life and didn't know what to do, and I kind of started getting into music production a bit and a little bit fascination with that. So I decided to go to school. So I went to Center for Arts and Tech here.
Oh, dope.
So we were kind of the guinea pigs for the first year of a new course. It was called the Electronic Music Artist course.
Crazy.
And that was only 6 months, but it was kind of like a crash course on Ableton. So you get all the music production in, a little bit of music theory, a bit of engineering. So I kind of got pretty much a 6-month crash course into it, and that got my foot in the door during school there. My teacher linked me up with the promotion company that me and Brandon are still fucking working for. So, you know, we've been grinding it out and selling tickets and doing all that stuff, getting opening gigs. But, you know, all in that meantime, we've just been busy on Ableton, and you know, here we are now.
Damn, that's friggin' wild. That's like such a long process for both of you guys. And, you know, it shows like in your work how long it's taken to get here too, because of how seamlessly it seems to blend together and everything, even though you guys came from two totally different backgrounds, which is crazy. It's dope though. Yeah. Now I wanted to ask you too, is like, how did you guys then eventually start to like link up and say like, hey, let's start this thing. Let's do this.
Well, like, we have a studio we work out of downtown. You came by the other day.
Yeah.
We were both just working there, and just the cool like vibe out of our studio is everyone sort of works together. We got like 5, 6, 7 producers that are all still working out of our studio, so we're all kind of working together on some level. And so between everyone there, like, I've worked with everyone there at some point. Jake's worked with everyone there at some point. And me and Jake just found a dynamic that worked. Like, we were both kind of on the same wavelength. We both like the same music, you know, like when we're listening to our music on our own, we're vibing to pretty much the same music. So our visions just happen to be super in line. So it was just a pair that worked.
Yeah, it just happened natural, man. Like, you know, everyone at the studio, we always running from room to room. What are you working on? What are you working on? And like, you know, over time, we just ended up sitting down more and more. And then next thing you know, we're like, we got to get a brand for all this stuff we're making. So let's just, we went full on with it.
Right. And where did the name Broken Future come from?
That came from a creative meeting that I was having with someone else. And we were talking about potential names for nights and concepts and like record labels, and we're just trying to like come up with imagery. And I was talking, and I just watched, I think, like Blade Runner or Mad Max or something, and I was saying like a cool imagery would be like this, some sort of like this dystopic like broken future sort of thing. And I sat and I was like, that actually sounds kind of cool. Broken future. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, that's tight. So I kind of took that, ran it by Jake. He was on board with it and kind of said like, let's just run with it, you know? Like,
simple.
It works. We found a name, it worked, man. And just like that.
Hey,
could have been anything, you know?
Yeah. All right. So when you guys did link up, were you both using the same DAW at the same time, or were you guys like working?
Yeah, the same program. Yeah. We're both native in Ableton. Yeah.
Ableton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ableton Live.
Dope. Okay. And have you guys tried other ones? This is just me as a gearhead, like wanting to know.
For sure.
I did. Yeah. Well, when I was in school, one of our courses was on learning Logic and stuff.
Yeah.
Which we were using and shit, but
yeah.
You know, I never got too deep into it, man. Like, once you get stuck on one, it's hard to jump onto something else when you're used to the quick keys and like, everything like that. Like, it's just what I've learned on, and like, you know, that's the die by that one.
Yeah. For the first half of my like production career, I was using FL Studio. Just as the first one I found.
It's classic though.
Super easy program to learn on. It's so easy and user friendly, almost to a fault, that I found I got to a certain point where I couldn't do any more, because one of my strong suits is not organizing. And Ableton is awesome for keeping you organized. It's just, you know, for someone who is able to keep themselves organized, FL Studio is great for creativity.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if you can keep that all contained and organized, like, you can make some powerful stuff on there. Me personally, not one of my strong suits. As soon as I moved over to Ableton, I just found that my projects were staying much more organized. Everything's right in line there. You know, all your automations right on the channel. Everything's just, it's easy and it's seamless. So Ableton's kind of bland when you look at it. You know, it's all gray. There's nothing really exciting about it. It's pretty boring to look at.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I needed boring. I needed something that would just keep everything in check and, you know, help me just focus on writing music.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sometimes you just need that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about your like first few releases, right? So with your first few releases, you put them all up on SoundCloud, right? And did you guys put them up on Spotify and all that stuff too, or?
No,
just SoundCloud.
To be honest, I mean, we don't really have any releases. We put a couple remixes up, but like, we're sitting on like 20-30 tracks right now.
I mean, as far as like what we have that's out to the public and stuff, it's just older projects that we just tried to put out to gain some traction. The majority of the stuff we got right now, we're sitting on that for a bit, and you know, a release to us means like a real release on a label that, you know, getting signed to a label, getting put on that. I mean, we like to put stuff on SoundCloud for free for the homies and whoever, but you know, as far as a release, we got a bunch of stuff we're sitting on right now that hopefully we can get shopped out and
crazy. So like, do any of your remixes that you have on there sound anything like what you guys have?
To be honest, no, not really.
I mean, yeah, it's not as far as like the kind of like hip hop kind of flips and stuff like that. It's not so much that we've kind of refined it a little bit more, and a lot of them are totally original ideas. There's not too many like remixes and stuff. So, you know, we're trying lots of different stuff, and we're gonna see what sticks. You know.
Yeah.
Wild. Okay. Cool. And so like, in terms of then release, then so you're first shopping around your ideas, then you're gonna see an official release. Is that what that's us as an audience? That's what we're expecting.
Well, actually, we came up with a concept that we're running with that's gonna be a little bit different. So with the style of music we make, it's very made to DJ, and it's very it's house music that's built over a long period of time. It's something that's hard to listen to sort of as one-off tracks. It's not something that would, you know, garner a lot of Spotify plays. Our stuff's made to be mixed. It's made to be put in DJ mixes. So we're actually releasing our first full-length mix almost as an album. So we got about 20 tracks, and we're putting it out. It's called Completely Broken, and it's gonna be a 1-hour mix of all original music. So rather than release, you know, one-off tracks and singles like that, we're starting off by just putting out a mix, because that's where we're a DJ group. At the end of the day, like, our show is DJing. What we do, we're DJs, so we want to showcase what we do the way it's meant to be, the way it's meant to be listened to. You know,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because you can sit there and listen to the songs one by one. You're probably going to be skipping to get to the drop too. That's but you know, you just put on a mix. You can kind of sit back and just let it all flow, and like that's the way it's meant to be heard, right?
Yeah.
And I think that in the long run will get more plays, you know, because, you know, people are going to sit and listen to a mix maybe while they're doing something, rather than sit there and comb through 20 separate songs, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a little more accessible, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It doesn't follow sort of, there's that classical format for EDM music where it's breakdown, build up, drop, breakdown, build up, drop. It's you know, while it still has its internal build ups and breakdowns and things like that, it's more steady. It's you see the build ups and the breakdowns and all that stuff go over a longer period of time. And don't get me wrong, there's still times where there is, you know, tension built and you know, what you would call a drop, but it's just done over a longer period of time, that for the average listener listening to one-off music, like one-off tracks, it can be a little bit long.
Right. Okay.
So it's stuff that sounds good in like a DJ mix. So So that's why we're choosing to go that format.
Okay.
On that.
So that plays in a lot more to what you guys are a part of, like the EDM scene that you're a part of.
Yeah.
And the house scene that you're a part of, which is very cool. You know, I think purists of that genre would appreciate that. Now, I don't know anything about that very much, because once again, I'm not much of a house fan or anything, but that's friggin' dope.
We'll get you educated.
Yeah, we'll show you, bro. We'll show you.
Yeah.
Yo, actually, that'd be dope. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, send it away.
Yeah.
I think we're releasing it, I don't know, soon. We haven't decided yet.
Yeah?
We've been teasing it.
Okay.
We've been sitting on it.
We got it ready.
It's done.
We're sitting on it. We just want to try and hype it up. And
See if we get a couple like labels and stuff. Not labels, but like online blogs and stuff to get behind it. So I do a proper promotion plan up, but it's done. We're sitting on it, just trying to hype it up and get it out. So that's sort of like the culmination of the last year or so work.
Okay.
And but that's the thing is, like, this is why we've been sitting on our work for so long, is like we wanted to perfect. We spent this past year just with our heads down, working hard in the studio. Right. And like we didn't want to jump the gun, and that's why, you know, on SoundCloud and stuff, we don't have too much of our current stuff, because we're waiting to put it out in a proper manner. You know, we don't just want to leak out a track every once in a while. Yeah. People don't, you know, you need consistency, right? So you know, we're trying to make it, you know, have some impact when it hits, and you know, hopefully people fuck with it.
Yeah, and that all stems sort of from a mindset that we have, and we've discussed a lot. we're really looking to make this project be a project that has lasting power.
Yeah.
You know, in this world right now where everything's got such a quick burn time,
Totally.
we're really trying to make a project that lasts, you know, that has some life to it, and try and build a career that lasts, you know, 10, 20, 30 years. Where we want to be lifers in it. You know, we don't just want to have a hit, you know, cheat out, get a hit and blow up and fizzle out just as quick. So there's a lot of the world that's just, you know, you get your 15 minutes of fame, but we want to play it right, take the long road and do it proper.
Yo, long-term thinking is smart, for sure.
Yeah,
good on you guys. Because a lot of people don't realize that. But that's what also, that realization, though, puts you ahead over other people.
Exactly, right? We're not trying to just have our 15 minutes and then ride off into the sunset. Like, you know, we want to make a long career out of this. So, you know, it takes time to build up your craft and build up connections, and, you know, it'll only help us. So if the longer it takes, the more connections, the more ready we're going to be. So,
we've been really fortunate to have a lot of industry influences just on the business side of things to understand sort of how the business works. So we work with a lot of really cool people just on the business side of things, like just working on the industry side of things, running shows, things like that. So getting advice from people who've seen people make successful careers and help people make successful careers has really sort of helped us go on the right path. And, you know, we're hoping that sort of long-term thinking does pay off.
Right. Would you see yourselves, if you had to move to another city to achieve this, would you do that?
No question.
No question?
for sure.
I don't know if
For
there's...
sure, man.
I don't know if there's much things I wouldn't do, to be honest. Like,
I'd move anywhere, bro. Where anywhere that would help us, you know, move ahead in our career. You know, like we don't really have a backup plan, man. We always joke about this.
We always joke about it.
It's a lot of work, man.
If this doesn't work out, we're screwed.
Yeah, bro.
Well, you're all in, which is fucking dope.
Yeah,
that really puts the fire under your ass, though, too, right?
Yeah, and I think it takes a certain amount of, you know, you're gonna drop everything else if you really want to go all the way. And you know, where we see ourselves ending up is like, you know, we don't want to just be the middle of the pack. We want to get to the pinnacle, right? And you know, it takes a lot of time and a lot of discipline, but I think we're gonna get there, man.
Yeah.
If I didn't believe we were gonna get there, I wouldn't be still on this path. Like, I
obviously,
would not have a backup plan
because it takes a lot of time and money to like get to where you're going.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you're so invested, right? And that you're putting in so much effort. And I think people will be able to hear that in the record, you know, like when you guys drop it. I feel like people will be able to pick that up, especially with what you're talking about. And honestly, I'm excited to hear it, you know? Based on what you're telling me, by the way, I just, you know, I like listening to vinyl records at all. Do you think you'd ever put that out on vinyl?
If that's something the label does.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be sweet. I know there are some labels that do like vinyl only releases.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
If the label wants to do that, by all means.
Because like a lot of DJs, I don't know how like prevalent it is now because everybody just does it online digitally, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like there must be some DJs out there that still scratch with like actual vinyl discs and shit now, right?
Yeah, I mean, so your gearhead. Now a lot of it's done virtually.
Yeah.
So like for all the scratch DJs, they're using records, but you don't see scratch DJs playing on actual records anymore. What they are is they're actually vinyl records that have what's called a time code. So what happens is it actually sends out a digital code on the vinyl that tells you where in the song it is. So as it plays forward, it's actually translating that signal to the computer, and the computer translates that and says where the song is on the course of the vinyl. So as you're playing the vinyl, it's going to play through the song, and you can't even tell the difference. Like, it sounds like you're playing the song right off there, but you can play one vinyl and play hundreds of different songs off the one vinyl.
Yeah. So you don't actually have to flip, you know, your plastics. You just leave one there, and then you got it all digitally on your laptop. That's how most of them do it now. So.
Yeah. Damn, isn't technology amazing?
Technology's crazy, man.
It's only getting crazier, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Like, legit, I'm honestly, like, low-key waiting until, like, they develop, like, yo, if you got your arm cut off, just get a robot part.
Bionic, yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that shit. That shit's gonna be wild.
I mean, I'm waiting to snap out of the Matrix here.
It's not gonna happen, dude.
Snap out of the Matrix, yeah.
Play your records loud enough, maybe you will.
Hey, guys, Donald Trump's president. This life can't be real.
Yeah. But really, I think about shows sometimes, like shows like 10, 20 years down the road, like crazy productions they'll have. like I can't even imagine like the LED walls or the crazy shit they'll
yeah.
have at festivals and stuff.
Yeah.
Down the road, it's just gonna be.
Dude,
That's
think about
crazy,
how
man.
much craziness has happened in the last 20 years, right?
Right, another
Like,
20, imagine.
Yeah.
Who knows, man?
Oh, that's
I'm excited.
crazy.
Excited. It gets me pumped. I'm excited for that.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like,
man.
holy shit. Like, imagine like, you know, when Elon Musk builds that like pipe that allows you to the hyperloop. That
Yeah.
Imagine like going to Vancouver in 15 fucking minutes. Imagine like you like be like,
That's
hey, you want to
crazy.
just go to like Vancouver this evening? Sure, yeah, and then just like come back home and sleep in your bed. Wild, right?
We're not far from that, man.
No.
Yeah.
And that's only going to make life easier, especially for us. Like, you know, being an artist, you make your money off touring.
Yeah.
And if that comes
Traveling.
in, God, traveling's the worst part about being a DJ. Like it's
Sure.
from everyone I've talked to. I mean, we haven't done much traveling with our project, but from everyone I've talked to, touring's fun for the first couple months.
Yeah.
After the first couple months, it's just a nuisance.
grind,
It's just
man.
a grind.
Long drives,
Yeah.
all like the shitty hotels and the
Yeah.
food and all that. Yeah.
Jet lag everywhere.
Yeah.
So being able to just be, you know, minutes away from anywhere, even hours, you know, getting across the country in an hour or two, easy.
Oh yeah. That would be wild. I'm really excited to where the future takes us, man. Like, and especially the electronic music in the future. Like, I have no idea. Like,
Right.
the kids that are like 4 or 5 years old, and those people start to grow up to like electronic music. I have no idea where their imagination
The-
will take it.
The exciting things, even pop music's electronic now.
Yeah.
And you might not even know it, even if it's all analog sounds, even if it's all live sounds, it's all electronically produced. It's all
Yeah.
getting
it's all
processed
tracked
through a
out
computer
in you know a DAW, and you don't even know it. So it's just like, I think music right now is the best it's ever been. Even on
Yeah.
the radio, like, it just sounds so good.
Oh, I know.
Like the sound
Yeah,
of
the
it.
quality of production is just ridiculous now. You know?
Yeah, honestly, like the people that like bitch about how music is not nearly as good as it used to be, I'm just like, you know, you can still listen to the music from like decades ago if you want to. You just, and if you want to find music now, just like dig a little deeper. Like, there's so much good shit
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be live music. I don't think
Yeah.
that's ever going away. There's something special about playing
Yeah.
a live instrument and playing live, and because you're in a band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, like playing in a band, playing live, like that's something that is you can't match that
Yeah, well,
electronically.
there's a different
No,
connection between
no.
like watching someone really play an instrument as opposed to watching us fucking hit buttons. So, like, there's
Yeah.
a different thing there, right?
But you guys though still make a difference, right? Like, you guys just like on your setups in a club or something, right? Like, people watch you. Like, it's like you know, they can watch your energy, and then you guys just like bounce the energy back and forth. You guys still make a difference live.
Oh yeah, we're
Right.
working hard. We're never
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we stay busy and stuff. It's not like we're just standing there hitting play. Like, you know, we do.
Nah.
We're doing shit, but you know, it's a different kind of energy that you got to bring when you're, you know, playing electronic DJing as opposed to, you know, being a little more intimate playing an instrument, right?
Yeah.
Be a little more theatrical. You got to have kind of a little more stage presence, you know.
You still gotta jump around and like, you know, wave your arms and just like.
I mean, for us, for our Broken Future project, not so much. We're
Yeah,
we're
it's
sort of
not
all
like
about
the
the
big
music.
EDM hands up
Yeah.
kind of shit, but like
That
it
shit's
is
over.
like it's important to have good energy up there. Like,
Of
I've seen a
course.
lot of
Yeah.
DJs that just don't really have much. You know, so there's some that I can't take my eyes off of them watching them play, and they have an aura about them, right? And
Yeah.
some guys that just don't, right? They
Yep.
just kind of blend in, and I don't know what exactly makes that or breaks that, but
I think it's their charisma, you know.
yeah,
It's
I
like,
think it's just that natural energy, man. Like, if you're really into your shit, people see that, right?
Yeah.
They feed off of that, and everyone just keeps getting up and up off that, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's so wild. And like, where do you guys see, you know, electronic music on a whole going in the future? Like, we've
So-
all seen the dubstep thing and like all that, and then it died down.
I don't think electronic music as a whole is ever going to go anywhere, because it's just a platform to make whatever music's hot. It's moved more to a live sound now, a lot of live sampling. Just people don't want to hear all synthesizers anymore, which is cool. It's fine. There was a phase when it was all synthesized music and had its time, and now everything's a lot more live based,
More
but
organic sounds.
more organic. Yep.
It kind of went to the total extreme of just all electronic crap, and now it's kind of met more in the middle of people, you know, putting organic elements in there and mixing the two, and
I think it had to. Like, I think you have to reach those limits to find out how far, you know, a genre can go, and how far a sound can go. So I don't think dubstep, as an example, is ever going to sound the way it did again. But at the same time, in that style, there's some of the best dubstep music being made right now. Like, just because the hype's gone off of it and everyone's heard it and like the wow factor on it, there's some crazy dubstep going on right now. Yeah, so that's just with technology improving, you know. New synthesizers coming out that let you make new sounds, and it's crazy just the way some of the stuff coming out like this year and in the present sounds.
Yeah, totally. And in terms of like your guys' sound, would you want to experiment? I'm sure you would, but like, do you guys see like an experimentation where you sort of more go into an organic sound, or would you ever see yourselves using actually like more retro shit, like synths from the 70s and stuff like that, just to see where you can go with it?
There's definitely an influence of like older house music in our sound. It's like sort of the 90s sort of house music sound. A lot of really good stuff happened then, you know, when the birth of real electronic dance music. So we pull a lot from that. As far as 70s synths, if we could get a hold of one, for sure. The sound of an old analog synth, you just can't replicate that.
Yeah. It's hard we don't have much of that cool retro gear, but we got some like free plugins and stuff we found that kind of emulate that same kind of sound. Like we got this one called Rave Generator. It's a sampler based. It's a VST, but it's all samples of like of these classic old 90s synth hits and stuff, right? And I think they're real samples from the actual machine. So
it's funny. We'll scroll through all the presets, and it's just a sampler, but we'll like scroll through and just like, oh, that song was that sound from that
recognize
song.
a ton
just
of
all these old
hilarious.
90s songs. But
I mean, that's about as close as we're gonna get, because
I mean, with that being said, though, a lot of the bass of our drum samples, like the basis of our drum sounds, like our kick drums, we're pulling a lot of stuff from like the old 909 drum machines.
Cool.
So like that, just
a lot of 909
they nailed that sound. Like when they made the 909 drum machine, the 808s, not so much the 808. The 808s are cool for like that sort of hip hop sound, but the 909, when they came out with that, like that kick drum on the 909 just sounds so good. It just cuts through, punches through. Really, it's just this warm, round kick drum sound that just like. It just hits you right in the chest. It's good.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you too, you kind of like somewhat answered my question already, but with like a lot of like rock music or indie music, there's like a lot of throwback stuff to it, you know, like throwback to soul music or like throwback to early 2000s emo and that type of stuff. Do you guys see like that happening in your music at all? Like in like say 90s or early 2000s?
So one thing we love is just like aggro rap girls, like just from like the 2000s, like
we love some of those ghetto black chicks just rap spitting, like talking raunchy shit.
It just sounds good on them. It just sounds good in tracks.
And I find it, honestly, man, we pull a lot of our vocals and stuff are from more 90s classic, a lot of old hip hop. I have a huge bank of acapellas from,
that's actually a big influence,
tons and tons. So, and a lot of our sample bank that we have are old little scratches or cuts from cool tracks. So
we actually spent a whole day. We took a recording of an old scratch record, so like something a scratch DJ would have used in the 80s, and it just had all these like iconic sounds that you've heard all over, and you don't realize you've heard all these sounds being reused throughout the time until you actually hear them one off in like these scratch records. We spent an entire day and just cut samples out of this old record. Actually, we had a couple of old records. We cut samples from all of them. Shit. And we've just been using those in our tracks, one-offs. We have like sort of a bank right on our computer of just these sounds that we cut one day. And they just sound dope. And it's like recognizable, you hear these little one-off hits and it's like, oh, that was the sound that played this other part in this other song. And you might not even come to your attention, but it's familiar. You've heard it before.
Right. Yeah.
We like to use things that are sort of familiar.
Yo, I think that's a really smart thing to do.
Right, it's got a bit of nostalgia, right? You hear that song, you go, "Oh damn!" Like a little sound bite or something in there. That's from that fucking old track or something. Yeah. It gets people hyped and
something from a movie or
people love that kind of shit.
And people remember that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we on one of our tracks we cut Shakira. This it's from like that Whenever Wherever, her first song, the big one, where she's belly dancing. And there's just the sound of her just making this little ad libs like and we cut that. We cut that and we put it in the track and we built the track around
every
that.
Every time we play it, our friends always go,
"Is that Shakira?
That's a Shakira."
You know it. Yeah, people get pumped on that. Yeah.
People love that kind of shit. I honestly think if you guys have a lot of that in your new record, people are gonna fucking love it.
I would say most of our tracks have some sort of
They've
influence.
got a recognizable hook or something that people.
That's
that's
a big thing that's important to us is pulling from older stuff. Actually, it's actually a big part of our production style.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You know, like how Childish Gambino did Redbone. He was like a big throwback to like all those like 70s soul tracks and stuff. Blew up, you know?
Yeah.
So like having that, to know that that's going to be on your record is like fucking sick. You know, but obviously.
I mean, we wrote a track that just has a piano riff on it, and it's like built around a piano riff, just sort of like the old 90s style house tracks, but with like almost new modern production techniques. So it's cool. It's nice. It's nice. Like, what's that sample? It's like an a cappella band or like a...
I can't remember.
They're like harmonizing. Anyways, we found the sample. It's like recording this harmony group, and they're like doing some pitch perfect style stuff. Yeah, and they're all like playing different parts of it, but we like took that, layered it with like this piano riff we wrote, and just like played it as if it was like a 90s sort of house track, and ended up sounding great.
Shit.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times that we find that we're finding hooks or whatever for our tracks, it's just scrolling through old acapellas or something. I mean, it's not far different from finding a cut on a vinyl and chopping it out. It's just we're just doing it all digitally, right?
Yeah.
But it's this pretty similar method. Like you take a little chop out of something, fit it in, and it's cool to have like stuff that people can relate to, right? You got a little hook or a little line from a rap song that everybody knows, and that carries your track. Yeah. It definitely helps like your stuff stand out,
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially if you use it in like some sort of new, unique way.
Right. You use it creatively. And
what was that one? The one we just did, the answer. What was that? That was Azealia Banks.
212.
212. You know Azealia Banks 212?
I probably have heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dope.
I'm sure you recognize it.
You've heard it.
Yeah.
But we cut her vocal, like cut a loop of her vocal, and just like plays over this beat in it, and it just. People got pumped on it and we played it last, and
sick.
Yeah.
Do you ever just like take your music that you guys are working on in Broken Future and just like try it in the club just to see what reaction is before it's even released? Yeah.
I mean, in the back room I do.
Yeah.
Like if I got some days I've made a fucking idea and bounced it out that day.
Really?
Went in that night and just see what it's like, because most of the time, like when we were making stuff, we kind of mix as we go. So once we get it to a workable point, it's not really too far off. It just needs maybe a bit of master and a little pump up.
Yeah.
But it's not like we get finished track and then we got to go back in and remix everything. It's kind of like we kind of finish it all in one foul swoop. Like you mix the EQs down, get everything compressed properly as we're in the process.
That's a big part of our workflow. Is just we're really big on just finishing, just hammering out tracks in that moment. Because I find that when you go back to a song, you're not in that same mindset, and if you can capture a full idea and a full song in the moment, like it just has that specialness of that time in it.
Yeah.
Usually what we do is we'll write out the whole track in one go, and we'll just leave sort of the housekeeping for the other sections. So we'll finish tracks over sort of 3-4 sessions, but like we'll write out. We know what the track is the first time.
Almost all of it, because we try to capture like, the vibe that the track has. You capture it in that night, so it's all kind of cohesive, right? And you go halfway through the track and then you come back the next day and you're thinking about something else, or you're in a different mood, and it just takes it a different way. We try to like, before we know we're onto something good, we try to get all the good creative juices out right there. And then the next sessions, we just spend that refining it and fine tuning all that stuff.
But by the time we're on that part, the song's written already.
Yeah.
And we'll go in and we'll basically find a cool loop that works, and then once we find a loop that works, we'll plot out like how the whole progression of the song is going to go. So we'll sort of say, the first how long is going to be this part of the track, and then we'll just like plot it out like in the actual program, just plot out the track. Even if it's not even a song yet, it'll at least be like a shell, like a bare bones of what the song is going to look like over the course of it, and then just fill it in from there.
Damn, that's crazy. That's so different from like my songwriting style, but that's dope though. We obviously create completely different styles of music.
For sure.
But yeah, that's wild. That's so
sick. It's like
sick.
Subtractive, right? Because we'll take like, take a little 8 or 16 bar loop, whatever it is, right? And we'll just duplicate that out till it's like, 4 or 5 minutes long. start taking pieces away, right? Start taking pieces away in the intro, and slowly kind of, it's almost like you got the full song there for like 4 minutes straight, and you take bits out to create a build up, take bits out for the intro.
You usually the big thing we try to do at first is like, what's the song gonna sound like when it's at its peak? So we'll we'll make the biggest part of the song, like make it like
all the elements in.
Yeah, everything in. So we'll try and basically capture what's the song gonna be like when it's the biggest, and then from there it's like we're write out the whole track and just pull things away, because it's really just a matter of just bringing elements in and out. So we kind of lead everything up to that point where it's just at its peak.
We basically take it from the full, maximum, and then just kind of strip things back. It's kind of like, subtractive kind of way of building the track, but it works for us, and visually for us to be able to see, the full thing laid out in a section view is it just helps us see the bigger picture. You're not stuck in a little chunk, right? So
that's the biggest problem I find with new producers is they'll make a really cool loop, but they won't know what to do after that.
You get stuck in it. You get stuck in it.
You get stuck in the loop. And so for us, we've just found write out the track first, write it all out, and then sort of take away from there.
That makes a lot of sense, because I have heard some electronics tracks that like my friends would show me, and they would literally just like find one drop and then just repeat that same drop like 3-4 times.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that to a listener that's like the most fulfilling thing to hear. Like the first time is always like a rush and it's really good, but then after that you're basically chasing the white dragon,
That's a good way of putting it,
yeah.
And it's just not as satisfying the next few times.
Yeah.
So to have it done that way, I think is like really smart way of doing it. So yeah, that's so sick.
Right,
it's
so
crazy.
You build it up so one drop is the peak, and then the ones before that you can kind of make them have a little bit less and don't give it all away, right? And then make sure that we don't, or else we find ourselves stacking too much shit, or else first drop you make it full on, and then you go, we got to make it bigger, so you keep trying to fit more and more, and it's just like less is more, right?
Sometimes enough is enough. Sometimes good enough's good enough, and
we're stripping stuff back and like simplicity, making every sound have purpose in it, right?
That's actually one thing I'm excited for about music right now, because I feel like for such a long time music was just about slamming as much into the track, especially electronic stuff. Just get as much in there, make it as loud as possible. And now it's like everything's sort of being refined back, and dynamics are starting to play more of a prominent role in music, and just having more space in music, and it's a good sound. It's less fatiguing on your ears.
100%.
Yeah. And there's not as much going on, but the things you do hear are just they're maximized so much more. Like they're just so much more powerful when you have you make an element that would have been drowned away in a bigger song. You make that more prominent, and it's more valuable and has more effect.
Yeah, dynamics are very, very important to all kinds of music, not just electronic.
Yeah.
And it's an important thing for a lot of producers and mixers and masters to understand.
Yeah, there's definitely that, like, I want to call it the Skrillex phase, when everyone wanted to be Skrillex, because that changed the game. Like that, before that, music had dynamics, and Skrillex came along with just this massive sound. Like it just sounded gigantic, these big just monster synths in there, and that changed the way that electronic music sounded as a sound. I don't even mean like the elements in it, just the way it sounded. Just everything was rammed right up to the super compressed, squashed, no dynamic range on it. Which, when you're at a show getting bombarded by big loud bass, like that's awesome, great, fantastic. Slam with me with as much possible. But for our music style, you don't headbang to our music. We don't want to headbang music, and it's like our big thing is just being very subtle with the things that we do.
Cool. That's very,
like
very cool.
we look at our set as, it's not just from one track to the next. We're looking at it as a flow of like 4 or 5 songs, kind of creating an atmosphere for 15 minutes or something, right?
It's an experience.
It's a bit longer. Yeah, it's a bit longer waves in the songs, right? Like they're all kind of flowing together to create kind of chunks in the set, as opposed to just track.
Yeah.
Because you can only run at 100 miles an hour for so long.
Yeah, true. That makes sense. Yeah.
And like with house music, with the style of music we make, like I know for me personally, like I don't want to go to a show where I'm headbanging and I'm tired after an hour. Like I prefer dancing for 6 hours straight to a good. Oh, I love it. It's my favorite thing is dancing. I just love just a good DJ, just getting into it.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Is like you're not like it's not like you're shuffling for like 6 hours, right? Like a lot of the house music, a lot of people just
Very
kind of
slow
stand
movement.
there and bob their head,
Bob
right?
it. Just enjoy it.
There's
Take it
something
in.
cool
Listen to
about
music.
that, and the different energy of like when people are in a crowd at house music festivals or whatever you want to call it. It's like. People are talking to each other and dancing and chatting, like having a good time, as opposed to just,
social.
In your own head, fucking raging, head banging. It's a bit different energy, man. I feel like
it's more mature.
It's a cooler vibe, man. Like,
a big thing I've found, and which is exciting. So, like, I come from the generation, and Jay comes from the generation. We just come from the generation where we were sort of the first wave of big EDM people, right in the pits when it blew up, when that big hype happened. And I think we just grew out of it. Like we just grew out of that sort of mindset towards dance music, and still love dancing, still love raving, still love doing all that stuff. But for us, like we need more. We need a more mature
I think
sound.
Like working for Blueprint and stuff, like definitely like being behind the scenes and seeing like the reality of the shows. It's like, when you're not in the crowd, like this is amazing. When you're back there and just see like the normal work that goes into it, it kind of takes like the aura away of going to festivals and stuff, and it's like start looking at it as it's less of just like go out there and blow your brains out. It's more of a job. It kind of changed our perspective a bit,
It's funny because house music's where the industry people go. Like the true house music, that's what everyone in the industry listens to. Like you ask any, artist manager, or even a lot of the artists that come through, like the tech house, techno and house music, like that's what the people in the industry who are around this type of music all the time, that's what they're into.
Right.
And the people who are really heavily exposed. I find it rare that people who weren't into dance music move into house music. I find it's people who are heavily into dance music end up being really into house music. So
is it because it's a lot more of a mature sound?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. It's still the same elements, still the same things you love about dance music, just more mature, when you don't want to go get sweaty and out of energy.
Yeah.
You want to go and, have a good time.
And just, dance fucking normally. Don't be out there raging in a mosh pit or anything. It's just like you can relax and it takes you on a bit of a journey, It's not just like trying to smash your brains out with the craziest sounds.
Cool. You just lasted an hour at Excision. I just lasted 8 hours at Martinez Brothers.
It's a different style, right?
It's completely different.
It's a different style, but and it's hard. Like in Kelowna here, it's not very popular.
No, not at all.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword because we don't really have any competition really that I know of.
Not really anyone else doing what we're doing around here.
But at the same time, there's not much demand for it either. So
So I mean, your podcast for the culture, like we're really trying to push this culture. Our entire thing is trying to build this culture around here, because the true house music culture, which is established, around the world, like you go to, all the big cities and there's massive house scenes of people who, gradually grew into it. I think there's the climate for it here in Kelowna to pop off. We've done a lot of shows and people honestly are like surprised by how much they enjoy themselves.
Cool,
and
man.
That's something that I'm excited.
And like every time we throw a house event, we get a new batch of people that come up and go, man, like that was so amazing. Like, you can tell it's the people that aren't exposed to it, but once they hear it, then they jump on board. So it's like,
which is exciting. We're not trying to like bring in this weird experimental sound that it's just like so avant-garde that people can't relate to it. Like
it's very easily danceable stuff.
Yeah, this is something that works and it's proven to work everywhere else. It's just there hasn't been a culture for it here in Kelowna.
Yeah.
So we're really focusing to build that.
Well, that's the point of all this. I want you guys to get that exposure. I want you guys to like have people look at you and be like, you know what, those guys are doing something cool, so I'm gonna start doing something cool. So that's the whole point of this.
Right, and that's the thing, man. We want the scene to just blow up here and
be the front runners.
I mean, there's such a dance music culture like built into the Okanagan. I mean, there's so many good artists have came out of here for such a small place. Like it's actually incredible. The climate's there. There's people who've been exposed to dance music for a while who maybe got estranged from it because they got over it. Yeah. But we have something that will probably bring a lot of these people back into it. Just this style, like it's it's something that a lot of these people can get into now.
It's a new wave, man. Like, it's a new wave that we can bring the same way. Yeah. You know, that dubstep, obviously, you know, Datsik and X&M blew up huge in here. Like, who's to say another genre can't take another wave here? And, like, you know, we really want to try and push that and create it.
At the end of the day, that whole scene was created because there's people here pushing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, we're passionate about what we're doing here. We're really, you know, big on pushing that sound. So, you know, it's only a matter of time before it takes off.
So what are you guys doing to push that sound? Like, you haven't released the record just yet.
No.
So are you guys playing a bunch of shows, or what's going on?
Yeah, we're at Center Gravity this year. We just played a festival called Curiosity. I think we've got a couple more that are waiting to be announced right now. So got to keep hush on that for the time being, just legal and whatnot.
Yeah.
We've, you know, thrown a lot of one-off shows.
Okay.
We do that quite a bit.
What venues do you guys do that at, by the way?
Mostly Sapphire.
Yeah, we do Habitat. We did one as well.
Oh, that was fun.
And yeah, I mean, I think a good way for us to kind of keep relevant and stuff locally is maybe do some like free shows or something. Just try to build that scene, like we're saying, like build local people. Like, don't make them overcharge them. Let them come for free and just check it out. And like, you know, once we get a good core group, right, and then who's to say it can't just freaking blow up from there? So
And what are you guys finding the reception is like?
People love it. People like
awesome,
we see the craziest crowds at the shows we play, and these are all people who aren't exposed to it, and they come out to our shows, and the shows that our homies are playing. It's this sound that we're all sort of pushing right now, and the reaction's fantastic. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's always good. Like, people are always, you know, it's like they seem surprised. You know, people at the show, they're like, "Oh my god, that was so cool," because they probably didn't know what to expect, or thought maybe it was some cheesy housey, you know, Tiesto. I don't know what the fuck, right? But,
And I think part of the problem lies in that name, house music.
Yeah,
the word
it's got a weird stigma to it.
Weird stigma to it. It just got so bastardized. There's so much music going around calling itself house music that isn't true to the soul of house music.
Right.
You know, this sound that came out of, you know, old disco and soul and funk and built around real old organic music. It's you know, stemming from the old soul singers from Chicago and, you know, the New York disco and, you know, all the gay scenes and just all the things that help build house music to what it is, this new wave of you know, electro house and the big room, the festival stuff, the festival sort of Tiesto
stuff seems
sound.
To be like what takes precedence whenever people think of that, right?
Yeah,
think of house, think of big room, or, you know,
cheesy,
or
that vibe is so far from what house music is.
Yeah. Then have you thought about maybe rebranding it differently to like something else, but like maybe like a subset of house music or anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, because we don't want to like pigeonhole ourselves either, right? We don't want to say, oh, we only make techno or we only make tech house, because in our eyes, like, we know what it means, and people that get it know, like, house music is it's anything, right? It's any kind of subgenre, but, you know, it's hard to kind of distinguish our stuff.
But we really aim to capture the soul, and the soul of the music that was originally created when house music was created back in the 80s and 90s. Yeah. So that sort of energy is what we want to capture in our music.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think the label really matters all that much, because, you know, the good music in itself will speak for itself. You know, it'll attract the right people. You'll get, you know, real recognized as real. So I feel like,
of course,
you know, once your album comes out, I'm really excited to see like where it goes and where it takes you guys, you know, because I think based on what you're telling me, you guys have put so much effort into it, and, you know, the reception's been great.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. We're excited.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure. And where can they find your music when it comes out? Or
it'll be on our SoundCloud.
Yeah, we got our Facebook page, you know, Broken Future Official.
Broken Future Official, Instagram, SoundCloud.
Yeah. Dope. That's awesome.
We plan on pushing it pretty hard, so we're hoping you'll hear about it.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll hear about it through me as well, right? Dope. Through the podcast, through my updates and highlights and all that shit.
Cool,
you'll
we
hear
appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, of course. No problem. Do you guys have anything else that you wanted to mention about Broken Future at all or anything?
We're playing at Center of Gravity this year on the beach stage. If you guys are coming through, come check out our set.
Yeah, I know. Sunday 2:30 right before GTA.
Yeah,
on the beach stage. So
Yeah.
It's us and our homie Stunned. He's another guy that works with us at the studio.
So
we're gonna go back to back for an hour.
Good local gig for us, man. We're looking forward to that.
Bunch of real house music there.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah. Go check them out. COG, is coming up. Big event this summer for sure. We got Wu-Tang and all that coming through too, which actually blows my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And Action Bronson, which is cool. But you have to definitely check out Broken Future for sure. You absolutely have to. And Broken Future consists of Brandon Tate and Jake Mater. And I'm your host, Deepak Batty. And don't forget to follow us For the Culture on Instagram at For the Culture CA. Don't forget to follow us on SoundCloud and Facebook as well. We just launched our new Facebook page for sure. And also, I spent the whole fucking day today just like uploading all my shit onto my social, just submitting it online to like Spotify and iTunes and all those places. So you're gonna see the up there, and it'll be great and official and all that shit. So check it out. Yeah. Thanks for listening though. Thanks Broken Future for coming by.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, brother.
No worries. Positive vibes everywhere. Have a good rest of your day.